Let's move on. My name's Manda Walker, and I'm a mortgage advisor, and I'm also the mortgage coach. And as I said, today I'm going to be talking about the buying process. So, as you can see, it has several different stages. Now, initially, you need to look at about affordability and deposit. And what I mean by that is depending on how much money you intend to have as a deposit equates to what you're going to have for your affordability. So when you're looking at your affordability, it will look at whether you're employed or self-employed. It will also look at what your outgoings are. So what credit commitments you've got, if you've got any loans, if you've got any hire purchase, any car loans, anything like that. And then it will work out your affordability from that point of view. If you're self-employed, it will look at your tax returns, normally for the last 2 years. If you're employed, they like you to have been employed, apart from if you've been employed for at least 12 months, and they'll look at the last 3 months' pay slips. Now, once they work out the affordability of that, say that equates to £200,000, and you actually want to put down a 10% deposit, then you need to save a deposit of 20,000. The minimum deposit you can have at the moment is a 5%. So if you can borrow 200,000, then the deposit would be £10,000. So by knowing what you can afford helps you realize how much deposit you need to save for. That's a question I get asked quite a lot. Now, once you've got all of that sorted, you've got two points of view. You can go get a decision in principle. So you go to a lender or get a mortgage advisor to go to a lender, and as long as they are happy in principle with, how much you're earning, what your credit file is saying in the background, then, and I've got a whole video on credit files as well, which I'll put in the description. The other thing is, they like to sort of know if the information about the property. So it's always better to get a decision in principle when you've got an idea of either the property that you're interested in, or you've even better than that, you've got the offer accepted. Next, I'd like to say is the property search. Now, some people, when they want to go to the estate agent or they want to put in an offer on a property, they're told by the estate agent they need the decision in principle. So at this point in time, the decision in principle or the search for a property can happen kind of simultaneously, is the best way of putting it. But when you're looking at property, bear things in mind. So, for example, if it's a freehold, that means that you would be buying the property and the land. If it's a leasehold, you're buying the property on the land and you're leasing the land for a certain amount of time. So do ask how long the length of the lease is. Over 100 years, over 99 years is a good point of call. Ask them about service charge, because the managing agent, the person who owns the land, could actually charge you a service charge. If it's a masonette, that's less likely, but if it's in some kind of block, then it's more likely. The other thing is ground rent. So the rent for actually, having your property on that ground. Again, if it's like a masonette or something, you may not have to pay any ground rent, and the service charge probably is only half of, like, if it's half a house, for example, those are masonettes, then you might pay towards the building insurance and maybe only 50% of it, because your property is 50% of the whole building. I hope that makes sense. The next thing is the type of mortgages that you can get. Now, when you're looking at mortgages, it has several different sections. So firstly, it's the actual payment type. So you've got interest only, where you literally only pay the interest, or you've got capital and repayment, where you pay the principal loan that you borrowed, so that 200k, for example, plus the interest, which means at a point in time you will have paid the whole thing off. Interest only, You're literally just paying the interest. So you will get to a point where, you know, you haven't paid the principal off and you need to find another way of paying it. Mostly when people are buying property that they're going to rent out, that's when they probably go for an interest only. If you're buying what we'd call a residential, i.e. a property that you're going to live in, then that would be when you would buy it's called a capital and repayment. Then the next thing is the term. So you've got the initial term and then you've got the term. So the term can be, you know, you might want to pay it over 35 years, 25 years, 20 years. I would literally figure out when you can afford to pay it off, because at the end of the day, it's all very well going for really low payments and say go with a 35-year term, but then it will take 35 years to pay and you'll have paid interest for 35 years. And you'd be quite surprised how much interest can accumulate over 35 years. If you can afford a 15, 20-year mortgage, then go for that. Next, when we talk about term, it's the deal term. So for example, where we said it'd be fixed, i.e. the rate wouldn't change, is it a 2-year fixed? Is it a 3-year fixed? Is it a 5-year fixed? The good thing about that is, you know, month on month what you're paying. The bad thing about that is if the interest rates, so the rate that you're paying, the interest rates overall go down, your fixed rate will stay the same. So you can't take advantage of that. If you try and change your mortgage during your deal, then what will happen is it will be called, you might get early repayment charges. So that's something else to look into. The next thing is, once you've decided what term you want, whether you want fixed or variable, where the rate goes up and down, or you want capped, there's several different types. You decide which one you want, and obviously talk to a mortgage advisor about the different options, because there is a lot to consider. Obviously capital and repayment and things like that, whether you want it over a 25-year term or whatever, and it can all be worked out around your affordability. When you're actually looking at your affordability, you need to make sure that you've got enough money to pay this mortgage payment every month, because at the end of the day, if you miss the payment, you could jeopardize the property altogether. Next is the mortgage application. So it's normally a mortgage advisor would do that for you. So they'd follow on from the DIP, they'd fill out a bit more information and then get that going. The next thing is the survey. There's normally 3 types of surveys. There's the basic survey, which is called evaluation, where they either do a drive-by, they drive by the property and look from outside, or they'll do, they could do a desktop where they just look like on Zoopla, like you would, and look at the property, or they'd pop round to the property and they'd just have a quick look round. It's normally a 1-pager and not a lot of detail. The next level, which is a bit more expensive, is the home buyers report. The home buyers report will look at different areas, you know, electrics, plumbing, that kind of thing. It will have a traffic light system. So basically, if those areas within the house are okay or they're a good standard, then it will be green. Green means go, right? If they need a little bit of work but nothing major, then it's amber. And then if they need major work, then it's red. So at least you know, sometimes you can use this report to negotiate the price with the seller. Sometimes you'll just walk away because you think it's not worth the price now that you know all the things involved. And sometimes it just gives you a bit of reassurance. Once you've done the survey, then you supply all the documents to the lender, which the kind of documents would be pay slips, you'd prove your ID, so photo ID, bank statements, that kind of thing. And then after that, once they've reviewed all your documents and they're happy, then what they would do is they'd give you a mortgage offer. Now, once you've got that mortgage offer, this is where your solicitor gets involved. So the solicitor will then discuss with you about what inquiries they're going to make on the property. One of this is like to check with Land Registry to check that the seller who's actually selling to you does legally own the property. I know that's a bit of a shock to most people, but it has been known to happen that people are trying to sell things that they don't actually physically own. I could tell you some stories. And the next thing is they will check environmental searches and loads of other searches, really. And then once they've got all the searches back, then they'll talk to you about when you want to exchange and when you want to complete. Now, exchange, 1, you need to give your solicitor the deposit at exchange. 2, the building and contents insurance needs to be active from exchange. And 3, you exchange the contracts. So there'll be 2 copies of the contract. You'll sign one, give it to the seller who will sign it, and then the seller will sign one and give it to you and you'll sign it. And then that way you've both got a copy of the contract with both your signatures on. Next is completion. Now, exchange and completion can happen on the same day, but it's normally a week difference. And then on completion is when the rest of the money gets sent from the lender to your solicitor, and then your solicitor will send your deposit. The rest of the money that has come from the lender will all go to the seller's solicitor. And then once he's confirmed that he's got it, he'll ring up the estate agent if the property was sold through an estate agent, and they will then release the keys, and then you get to see your new property. So if you've got any questions about the buying process, that was a lot of information. And obviously you can understand where the mortgage advisor comes in, where the solicitor comes in. The surveyor is done by a surveyor. Basically, the survey is done by a surveyor, I should say. So there are loads of different people involved and loads of people that are there to help you and give you advice. But if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate. If you found this video useful, please share it, please subscribe, and just let other people know about the channel, because I really do believe that everybody has a right to understand this stuff. And the more people that can get to see these videos, the more people I can help. So help me help them. All right, thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.